I thought I'd give everyone an overview of what our goal is in the 2014 election, kind of what the Democrats are doing, and then what the Republicans are doing or should be doing. Now, I always caveat this with you never know what's going to happen next week, and I could change my mind on some of this stuff if there's big surprises. But I'll give it to you as we see it now. So first of all, the overall goal. On Wednesday, November the 5th, 2014, that'd be the day after the election, hopefully we hold all 6 federal positions. We hold all 6 statewide positions again. So that would be, we've done it for 4 years, and we'll be going on to 6 or 8 for the federal and statewide positions. The last time the Republican Party held all the federals for 2 elections in a row was 94 and 96. And then for 3 elections in a row, you got to go back to the early 60s. And for the statewide to hold them all for 2 election cycles, you have to go back to the 1960s. So this would be kind of historic that the Republicans can control that much for that long. And in county positions, the state party doesn't get that involved in individual counties. There's 105 of them, it'd be too many. But I did count up all the state positions, and about 82% of them, plus or minus, are Republican. And we picked up positions all across the state last time, whether they were sheriffs or county attorneys, clerks, register of deeds, those kind of positions, which just shows you the Republican brand sells really well in Kansas. Second part, Democrats. Over the last 20 years, they have gone from being about 31 to 32% of the registered voters in Kansas down to 25. They've been trending downwards. The Republicans have been even at about 45, 46% of the registered voters, and the unaffiliated is what's increased in Kansas, which shows their brand is losing participation. Now in 2010, if you remember, before the election, the Democrats held 1 federal seat, this one, Congress seat. They went to 0. They actually held 5 of the 6 statewides, and they went to 0. And in the House, they lost 16 seats, which is a huge flip. There hasn't been something that big since, well, before the 1960s. 1994 was a big increase for the Republicans, but it wasn't that big. Okay, now I will turn to the Republicans. That's us. First of all, in the primary, my dream would be there'd be no federal and statewide primaries except the insurance commissioner. I understand that. It's an open seat. And the reason I say that is because Brownback and Roberts are each going to have $2 to $3 million, maybe more, dollars in their campaign funds. If they walk into the general without having to spend it, they're going to spend that because they'll never need that money again. Roberts will never run again. Brownback isn't going to run for any state positions. So they will spend all that money helping the House candidates with general turnout to get voters to turn out. And they may save some of it and give it to the state party so we can fix the carpet. No, I'm kidding about that. But they're not going to need the money after this election. And so we're really hoping that they are able to, and they're telling their donors that. I may not have someone running against me, but I need the money and we'll help everybody with it. Now, they can't just give it to a House candidate or say this is for the candidate, but they can do advanced voting, all that stuff, and just crank the turnout up. And our message generally, now every candidate has their own message. The party can never substitute for a candidate. We were sort of background support. You know, Chris Kobach will have a different message than Governor Brownback or any of the reps. But essentially, we took over a state that was slowly sliding down. The size of the government in Kansas per capita was one of the top in the country. I think we were 6th or 7th. Our debt, if you look at KPERS, the highway, and the school bonding, is very high compared to most states. Though we can handle it, we're not in danger. It's high per capita. And our tax base was going down. We were net losing taxpayers. Either they weren't moving into the state or too many were moving out. I'm not sure which. And if your tax base is shrinking, you can't keep up a big government and keep raising taxes to make up for the shortfall. So our message is we made some tough choices. I don't know if you want to call it tough love, competence, responsibility, but we turned the budget from minus 500 billion projection to plus 500 million. The government size has shrunk, at least the executive branch. Taxes have been lowered, and the idea there is to try to get more people to move into the state, reverse that outflow of taxpayers. And like I mentioned, that special session helped make us look competent. I don't think the governor is going to focus at all on social issues because we've already won most of those, and they can be kind of divisive, especially the press jump all over them. And to stick to that sort of competent management Republican theme that the voters can buy off on. At the same time, not giving up the idea that we care and that we're fair to everybody. I know the Democrats always like to say, why don't you expand Medicaid? And then the governor will say, because we can't afford it. Where's the money going to come from? You just can't keep taxing people forever. Or sometimes on the school board, somebody will ask them, okay, you want to spend more money on the schools? I won't get into the details there, but how many developmentally disabled people now do we have to take off the government help and put them back on the waiting list? When you ask questions like that, where people are forced to compare, they understand that it's not a lack of caring, it's fiscal responsibility. And on the Democrats, I don't know what their message is, except I try to frame it as they're trying to roll the state back to the good old days of big government, high taxes, which weren't really that good.